Welcome, team, to episode 34 of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. This is your co-host, Luke Wheat, coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee, as usual. Joined here with my co-host, Patrick O'Malley, coming out of...
I am in Roscoe, Illinois today, representing.
Illinois.
Yeah, and I got to give a little bit of bear down, Chicago Bears. It's the 34 episode for my guy, Walter Payton. So I had to shout out Walter on today's episode for sure. Sweetness.
I'll allow it. You guys don't get a lot to be excited about, so we'll allow it. We'll allow
Thank
it on
you.
the 34th
Appreciate
episode.
that. We need it. We need it. I haven't shouted out the Bears yet, so I had to do it today. But Luke, how's the week been, bro?
Dude, it's been good. Kind of getting back into a routine a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about that on the weekly self-help. I'm excited for it. Been out of town a little bit the past couple weeks. So all good things. Saw a buddy from college last night and good vibes right now.
Awesome, man. Vibes are definitely high. Like I said to you guys in the prelude, I'm out giving some lessons on the Sunday, which is awesome. Helping give back to the youth, and hopefully they hit a lot better than I did as a player. That's for sure.
Yeah. Just get that, exit,
No, man. But no, it's been awesome getting back in the game. Another great weekend. Weather's been beautiful, so can't complain. But, Luke, before we do anything, need to shout out last week's. How we feel about the vibes of last week's episode?
Hey, man. Nikki K absolutely crushed it. I really love that he took a dive, right? Like he knew that he was being too comfortable in his life. And he said, all right, I'm going to go get better. I'm going to go get uncomfortable and learn how to adapt to a situation, and took a big move and a big challenge in his life. And he stepped up to it. So being comfortable with the uncomfortable, man, Nikki K is a testament to that. So appreciate him for coming on. I
agree. And shout out Nick Clank and his whole network, and shout out our network in general. Like we say every week, we'd be nothing without our guests, without our support, without all the followers and the love, man. I mean, it's been a blessing to have everyone involved to get so behind this. So thanks again, and shout out to Nick's network. But just to shout them out, at the KG podcast on Instagram, Twitter, the blog, the website, lots of good things going, Luke.
Yeah, 100%. We just had a longer form interview this past week that's going to drop on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember what we confirmed, Pat, right off the top of my head, but it was Munsky from Make Mental Podcast. Great guy, doing great stuff for the mental health community. Dude, the networks in mental health they're strong. And so I'm really excited to bring that to you guys this week as well.
No doubt. And we're trying to drop the content and trying to make an impact, like I said before, one life at a time. So, but before we go into our interview with Mr. Zac Baden, just a reminder, we are not specialists.
We are not. We are not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists, guys. We're just a couple ex-athletes. Trying to give a platform for current and ex-athletes alike to share their stories and kind of get you all fired up about getting positive with your mental health. That's what we're about, just ending the stigma.
No, love that, Luke. And while we're on that train of thought as well, man, what'd you do this week for your mental health?
So I got back into my workout routine a little bit.
No way, bro. Hit me with it.
I know. I've been running again. So we're a little slow. So, I'm not going to talk mile times or anything right now. But and I was a little over ambitious first time out. Thought I was going to get 2 miles in, not in this Knoxville weather right now with the heat and humidity. But the main thing is we got outside, we got running. And after 2 weeks, basically just kind of vacay time with the girl and meeting a ton of her family, filling the cup up, it was time to get back on the exercise train.
Love that, man. Let that be a true testament to our listeners and athletes and normal non-athletes that we are now, Luke. It just takes a spark. Make one adjustment. Don't make it easy, but make it simple. You never know what it's going to lead to. Awesome stuff, Luke. Definitely 100%. Proud of you, man.
What'd you get into this week, man?
Yeah, man. So I think the big thing for me is I think just the balance portion again. And I always touch on this. It's probably the 5th or 6th episode I've touched on balance, but finding your niche, right? Like I think for a long time, I was so hyper-focused on doing everything on my list and getting everything completed and doing everything I had to do. As long as you put your best out there, even if your best is 60%, 80% that day, it's better than not doing anything. And I think that's a constant reminder. So your best is your best. Do what you can and do what you can. That would be my message this
100%.
week. So
you're not going to get 50% better every day. You're going to get 1% better. And right. that builds up over time. So I love that, dude. That's awesome.
No, man. And similar to what you said, that 1% better, that one more, that one spark. Our listeners, we're one away. So just keep working. That's all I'd say.
100%.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm super fired up. We got Zac Baden in the house. Zac, what's going on, brother? Flip that camera.
What's going on, boys?
How we doing,
Zac
bro?
in
What's
the
up with you?
house.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Nice, man. Well,
Just
he's
love
repping the powder blue Rock Valley shirt, which we love to see the representation.
I
But
had
Zac,
to.
before I go into a little Rock Valley, little baseball stuff, what'd you do this week for your mental health?
Oh man. Um, I've been trying to get my 8 hours of sleep a week.
That's good.
Working that night shift, man. I'm going in at 7:30 at night, not getting home maybe till 4:30, 6:30 in the morning. And I got a little 2-year-old running around. So
Sheesh.
anytime finding that time to get that 8 hours of sleep in, even if I get 6 hours taking a nap right before work, just trying to get that 8 hours of sleep, because I know it's good for my mental health, and the night shift's not really normal for everybody. So just trying to get into that routine and just trying to get that 8 hours.
Yeah,
I love
that 8 hours is absolutely crucial. I didn't know you were a night shift guy.
Yeah.
So making sure you get that sleep in is going to help you in the mental 100%.
Yeah, I got to touch on that because I know in the media right now, it's a big thing. Everyone's always talking about sleep, sleep, sleep. And usually the rebuttal I get is, Coach Pat, I can't get that. Like, I can't get more than 6 or 7. Zac, for the athletes listening, do you feel like it's helped you a bunch getting the 8 hours?
I would say definitely does, because at my work, man, sometimes they call 1 hour overtime, sometimes they call 2. I mean, it's inconsistent, so I don't know what time I'm getting home. So,
Yeah,
I think getting that 8 hours of sleep is crucial into what I do, because, I mean, like I said, going to the night shift, it's not normal for our bodies to adjust to the night shift just because it's night. So getting that 8 hours of sleep really helps me stay awake. I'm not a big caffeine guy. I don't drink Monster. Like, I only drink water. That's all I drink. So
okay.
getting that 8 hours is very crucial for me.
Well,
Awesome,
if you
man.
do your
Awesome.
water and you do your sleep, that's going to help your recovery
Yeah.
so much, especially as an athlete, right?
Yep.
If you take this from an athlete's perspective and you're going to class all day, it's really easy to forget to drink your water, right? Or it's
Yeah.
really easy to stay up that extra hour and a half talking to your buddies at night, which can fill the cup up. So I'm not saying don't do that every now and then, but don't make it
Yeah.
a habit every night. Get your rest, get your hydration in. You're going to recover a lot better.
Love that. Love that. Well, we're 2 minutes in and the boys already preaching. That's what we
Yeah.
like. But what we've been asking athletes and our guests every week, Zac, how did you get here, man? Like, how did you figure when you reached out to me? How did you figure you were a great fit to talk to our listeners?
Oh man. I wish I could get my story a little bit more. I know that we'll get into it a little bit later, but I mean, I might get emotional during this, but I think my story has a lot of depression. I went through a lot of depression through baseball, through my college years, because something tragic happened right after my high school years. And I really think that a lot of people can take away to how I coped with it and how I did things certain ways to really help me just think positively in life. So I hope, like, when we start this, and people can really reach out to me if they need help for anything. So I think my story will help a lot of people.
Oh man, that just tugs on my heartstrings, man. And feel safe in here, right? Like, this is a safe space. I love your vulnerability right off the bat, man. And we appreciate you being here. And Luke, I know it's your first time meeting Zac, and I know you're nodding the head feeling the same way.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can already feel the heart pumping a little extra. No, man, Zac, I kind of want to touch on what Pat just said, right? Our network's going to take care of you.
Yes, sir.
Everybody that comes on here is they're going to pour love into you, and they're going to pour support over you and into your body. And man, they're going to be awesome. So feel comfortable here and feel like it's a place where you can really make an impact in some people's lives.
Love that. Love that. And Zac, I want to get into it, man. So tell me this. You're coming from a small town. I know exactly where you're from, obviously. And I'm going to be honest with you. You're a big deal, man. The Baden family carries a lot of weight in your area. Tell me about the high school career. Tell me how things were going, not only in baseball, but with you just as a kid growing up.
Oh man. I mean, coming from two parents. My mom, she was a 2-time All-American at Collie in Kansas.
Drop
At
that. Boom.
softball. So, and then my dad, I'm pretty sure he still holds some records at Maine South for track. So he was a great athlete as well. And then growing up, I have 4 brothers now. Technically, I would say 5, and 2 sisters. So we've always played sports, eat, breathe, live sports, baseball,
Yeah,
football.
big family.
Yeah, basketball, you name it, soccer. We played everything. And even growing up in my little cul-de-sac, I mean, everyone kind of were the same age. So my brother's about 4 years older than me. My other one's about a year. And I'm not kidding you, every day from sunrise to sunset, we're outside playing sports in the backyard. Every single day. If it's baseball, football, like we're playing sports every day. And it was super fun. And I mean, get into a little bit, my high school days, as a freshman, I was still playing on the JV roster in pretty much every sport. I was 5'6", probably $120, $130.
Yeah.
Right. Been there.
Yeah,
was small.
same. Yeah.
I was a pretty small kid growing up, and I think I finally hit the weight room around my junior year. Probably gained about 10 to 20 pounds. And that really helped me excel in all my sports that I did. I didn't play football that much. I only played my senior year. But I picked up soccer in my junior year and played soccer my junior and senior year as well. But I remember going in my junior year. That's when I really excelled in the baseball field. I think I was first time all conference shortstop there. But I wasn't really getting heavily recruited because, O'Malley, I mean, Papa Grove's 1,000 people there. So
small town, man, small town.
Very, very, very small town. And I had a buddy there. His name's Marcus Protz. He was a catcher and super, super good. One of the best catchers I've seen at the high school level. And he was getting recruited by College of DuPage his junior year. So the head coach there came out to see our regional game my junior year, and I had a pretty good game. And after the game, lost in a heartbreaking loss, runner on second, came back down from 2. I mean, I don't like to relive the memory, but our first baseman misses a pop fly to go to extras against a team that took 3rd in state. But that was a fun game. But after the game, College of DuPage coach came over and talked to me, and he's like, I want you come take a visit, this and that. And that was kind of like the first experience I had getting recruited. So, I'm going to take the opportunity. And I believe that weekend, me and another buddy went down there and we took a visit there, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this place I want to go. I mean, this is the only place that's really recruiting me. And then I think after that year, one of my buddies went to Rock Valley, and that was Coach Heron's first year. And
shout out Coach Heron. Got to shout him out, Chad P.
Coach Heron's the best, man. Coach Heron's the best. I'm gonna praise him a lot this episode.
Well, look, I've met a lot of people from there, and if he's touched a lot of people from there, and all the people I've met are good, it seems to be true.
100% it is. Coach Heron's the best. I just texted him yesterday about doing an alumni game, so we'll see if that correlates. But no, getting back into it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going here. It's the only team that's recruiting me. And they're in Rock Valley's conference. Rock Valley's my backyard. But some of my boys that went to Rock Valley was Coach Heron was like, hey, you need to go get this dude. And, Coach Heron texted me. He's like, hey, I want you on for a visit, this and that. And I know Coach Heron probably doesn't want me to say this, but, I was telling my mom, I was like, hey, like, can I go take a visit for Rock Valley? Like, I just want to skip a day of school. I'm not going to go there, but I just want to skip a day. And I went, and Coach Heron, he's all antsy talking about baseball. The guy loves baseball. And, I was just like, I'm not going to go here, but, I'll just take the visit. and and those were kind of the only two schools that really reach out to me. I know my head coach Trey Rogers helped me reach out to like a good 20 schools, but they never reached back out to me. But going back to my senior year, we lost in the regional championship game, got no hit against a D1 pitcher, and come to find out I was ranked the sixth best shortstop in my conference when I was just the first best shortstop my junior year. So I had a really big downfall my senior year, and it kind of put a fuel on my fire. Like, I'm not the sixth best shortstop in this conference. Like, I know I'm number one. So it kind of put a chip on my shoulder. But going back, after that, I was like, I'm getting ready to go to College DuPage and play college baseball. I mean, not a lot of people have the opportunity to play college baseball. And I'm like, I'm going to take the opportunity. And College DuPage was on the rise. And I remember going there with my buddy Marcus. We were going to live together. I think we went there sometime in July. And, I went there to look at the apartments, and I was like, my gut's just screaming at me, like, not to go here. Like, do not go here. Like, I don't want, like, and I was just like, nah, I don't think this is the place. I went home and I talked to my mom. I was just like, I don't want to go to DuPage. Like, this is not where I want to be. And she's like, where do you want to go then? I was like, I mean, Rock Valley's right in my backyard. Like, I can just go there. And she's like, yeah, I think that's probably the best decision financially, and for you, like, that's probably the best decision for you. And I was like, yeah, I think it is too. So I texted Heron, and he's like, yeah, we'd love to have you. Like, I mean, it was kind of short notice, like probably like a month until we showed for fall baseball. But he's like, I'd love to have you, like, and this and that. And I had to text the coach from DuPage, like, hey, like, this is not the right fit. And he totally understood. That's why I'm gonna get a little bit emotional, but probably a week later, man, my mom died of a sudden heart attack.
Yeah, man.
So I'll stop there. Here's a couple things for our listeners, right off the bat. One, and we talk about it in a lot of episodes, it might not always be your A plan, right? Yeah. It sounded like College of DuPage was going to be the move. All of a sudden, the end of the day comes around, and all of a sudden we're at Rock Valley. And the fact that Zac and his family didn't burn any bridges and we're just good people, they ended up being rewarded for that. So I think that was big. I think the second thing is understanding when adversity strikes, not to just quit, right? Not to just be over it. I think when Zac had a tough senior year, when he was the sixth ranked shortstop, he could have easily packed it in, right? You're the sixth best shortstop in a really small town and a low to mid-level conference in Illinois. You had every reason to be like, you know what, this is not for me anymore. I got bigger things, but you stayed with it. And then the third and final thing is being with your people. And this is where we're getting to right now. So you get to the end of your year, you're going to Rock Valley, and then obviously with your mom. And once again, sorry for your loss, Zac. What goes on at that point, man? Are you open to talking about it? Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, like, the love and support everyone, like, in that community, man, it was unbelievable. Like, I'm not kidding you, like, the whole like county or whatever you want to call it showed up. And I mean, even after that, like, we had a GoFundMe, we raised so much money, and we thank everyone so much for that. And my brothers and my family still supported me, and that was good. But even so, like, I was still hesitant of going on because my two brothers made the sacrifice as well. So my oldest one, Austin, he just came back from college. So, he just got his degree in business, and he's working at a company in Rockton, and, he had to take on a bigger role. And my second oldest brother, Ty, he quit school to help us. And my dad was always there to help us. And it was tough, man. It was really tough. And there's nothing to explain it like that. Like, it's probably the worst thing ever, but Rock Valley really changed my life, and you did too, O'Malley.
No, and I love you, brother, and I always will. And I appreciate your vulnerability and you being here sharing your story today. You get to Rock Valley, and I think that allowed you to stay around family and friends and reestablish some new relationships that really made you the man you are today. Talk about what you were going through at that time and how you leaned on your support group. I think that was a big part of it. So how did you get through this is my question.
Um, I mean, I know that we've had little talks, O'Malley. You probably don't remember them, but I remember maybe a month in. Um, I just one day I was like, I'm done with baseball. Like, I just can't do it anymore. This and that. And I texted her, and he's just like, come in, like let's talk. And I was like, I just like can't come in. I can't, I just can't do it anymore. And I remember Heron calling me, and O'Malley, obviously I've only met him for a month, and he was on the phone too. And they were just like, they weren't even talking about baseball. They were talking about me as a human being. And they're like, if you guys need anything, like always reach out, let me know. Like they didn't care about baseball at that point. They only cared about me.
Yeah.
And I really that's what really like set them apart from everybody. Like it was unbelievable.
Well,
And
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You
Go
got
ahead.
it. Well, I think that community aspect, right? Like people can't fight your battles for you, but they can give you the tools and the support that you need to get through them, right? And you trusted your gut whenever you started to go to Rock Valley because I think you saw what a great community that was, and you lived there for so long, and just knowing, you were going to have that support. You may not have known what extent that was going to be, but it worked out for the better. And just having those people in your corner, man, helps you so much.
Yeah, Zach, I'm gonna let you piggyback off of this, but I think it's a great reminder for our listeners that like it's human before athlete.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zach, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That time is kind of dark for me. I don't really remember the conversation. I just remember being like, how can we help the situation, right?
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
I made it clear in that first couple of weeks of knowing you that, hey, this is going to be really tough, but you're not going to be alone in it, right? And I think Chad and our coaching staff and our players and the community, like Luke said, made it clear that it was human before athlete. And I think that's
Yep.
a reminder for our listeners. I think it's not always that way. So I'm glad it was that way. And I'm glad that you took the coaching, you took that mindset, and you could have easily been the victim, but I think you turned it into a win. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like I still appreciate you guys for that because obviously where I'm at today, like unbelievable. I'm so happy I stick with it. But yeah, I think I took like a week or two off, and I came back, and you guys were welcoming with open arms. Half my team was like, where the heck were you at? Like they obviously didn't know what happened with me in my life. So, I've only met these guys for a month or two, and, they still welcome me back with open arms. So I'm truly grateful for that. But I mean, going into that fall season, it was a tough one for me. Obviously, O'Malley knows I was the backup shortstop. And I guess I was a 4-string second baseman. I didn't know that until O'Malley told me.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Next man
so,
up.
yeah. So, I was like 6 foot, a $160, $150. I mean, I had some intangibles, but everything wasn't pure. O'Malley told me I had the worst swing he's ever seen in his life. So that always helped.
It was, here's how I'll put it. I'll be very honest. We're pretty honest on this podcast. He came in as a raw athlete. He came in as a small town kid who was a raw athlete, and his intangibles got him to this point, but I knew he had to work. And I knew if he wanted to get to his goal, which we will get into, he had to work. And it was one of those things where you got to give some tough love. You got to give some discipline, some guidance, but you got to love twice as hard. I think it's another lesson for our listeners because, Zach, to my knowledge, man, I was hard on you at times, but you always knew I had your back. I think that was common throughout our coaching staff. Luke, go ahead.
Well, and I'm glad you went to me here, Pat, because I think the most important part about being tough on a player is also in having those high expectations is giving them the tools to succeed as well.
Right.
There's a lot of talk in our society right now about people being soft, people being this, people being that, but it's, it comes from both areas. It's the athlete and it's the coach. Is the coach expecting more out of you than he's willing to put into you? And is he giving you the tools to succeed? Right. And then it's on the athlete to use those tools to get better and do the best you can. You just got to, kind of like Pat was talking about in his weekly self-help, right? Maybe 60% that day, maybe 80%, but you show up and you get better a little bit every day.
Oh, I just want your best that day. And that's a perfect segue to this. So Zach, fast forward, you're a guy that's not starting right away, right? You're a guy that's going through a bunch. But by the time we get to the spring, you're a completely different ball player. Tell our listeners how you did that. And to be honest with you, you were a completely different person. Talk about that too, what you did to get to where you got in the spring.
You know, I mean, that fall was tough. In between school, you know, I picked up a job at Menards. So I was working 6 days a week there. So, you know, I had study tables at 7:30 in the morning. I had school, and then I had baseball. And then honestly, sometimes in the winter, I would miss practice. So I obviously had to make that up. So I had to make time into putting work into baseball and into school. You know, I was getting home at 11 p.m. every night, staying up till 3 or 4, just doing homework, just to do it all over again at 7 a.m. I was getting about 3 hours of sleep every night. And not many people know that, man. I truly grinded, and I really want what was best for myself. And obviously I needed help out on my end too of what happened. So, you know, I text O'Malley, hey, like, you available at 11 to 12? Like, I got class at 12. You're available to like go swing it, go help me, like this and that. And I mean, O'Malley never said no. He's like, yeah, I got you. Like, I got time. So O'Malley really helped me in that aspect of just getting in that work, even though I missed practice those nights. Like, we had late practices pretty much every night, 7 to 9. And then I was trying to think. Yeah, I would just say O'Malley helped me. Yeah, and there were sometimes, you know, I used to donate plasma all the time. So
I was about to say, when do we get into the donating plasma part where you like would zombie into the cage and take 100 swings? Like, yeah, that was something.
Sometimes they'd stick me in the both arms just because like they keep missing my veins. So O'Malley's like, I'm like, you available at 11? And he's like, yeah, like, okay, I think I donate at 9. I'll be there at 11. I mean, I'd have both arms wrapped, just taking 100 and 120 swings, just trying to get better.
It's different. It's different.
That's what I had to do, man. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, I was tired after it. You know, obviously, because you just like lost a lot of, it's not blood, but plasma, kind of like the same thing. But you know, I had to put in that work. I had to put in that extra work just because I missed so much time. You know, missing practice really affected my playing time, and putting in that work. And obviously O'Malley saw that, and I'm pretty sure he talked to the other coaching staff like, hey, we need to give him a shot. Even though like he's missing practice, like he's putting in that extra work. But going into that first game of the season, they picked up that game against Shawnee Logan, the Division I down in Jacksonville or
somewhere. Way south.
Yeah, super good team. I think they're ranked in top in JUCO D1 probably. And you know, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, all right, like I'm gonna start. Like, you know, I've never sat the bench before. Like, I'm ready to play. And you know, I look at the lineup card, my name's not up there, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, all right, maybe the next game. You know, and the next game rolls around, we play a doubleheader, and I look up there, I'm not up there again, and I'm just like, man, I just in my head, I'm just like, I think that I disappointed my family, everybody that has been rooting me on. Like, I was just so sad and devastated, and like I let everyone down. And I remember going on the bus ride home, and I just started crying. I mean, I put my sunglasses on, I'm just like crying because everyone texted me, oh, how'd you do? I'm like, I didn't play. Like, and they were just like so supportive of me, like, oh, don't worry about it, like it's only the first game of the season, this and that, like you'll get a shot. I'm like, all right. So I mean, that's kind of like really rejuvenated me into like what the upcoming season was going to bring. Because then I remember going down to Arkansas first game, and obviously I'm not up there again, and I'm just like, all right, like maybe the next game. And actually, no, I think I went into the game. I might have went in the game the first game because I was a defensive replacement for second base.
You were?
And and the first ball hits me. I mean, it was the weakest ground ball I've ever seen in my life. The weakest ground ball, and I just botch it. I just botch it, and I'm just like, oh my god, like you can't do this. Like you can't make mistakes. Like if you want playing time, you just can't make these mistakes. And I was a big. I know that you guys don't say get like mentally like rattled, but like I was always mentally ready, but like sometimes I always got rattled because I never like making mistakes.
Yeah.
But
I don't
then
think I
but
don't
the,
think anybody does. There's ups and
I
downs.
know
Yeah.
I
This game ain't for the weak. Go ahead.
No,
so
100%. Game of failure for sure.
so then I remember the next game. Um, I was actually in the starting lineup for second base, and I think I went 0 for 2. Um, and I remember going back to the hotel that night, and O'Malley actually called me. He's like, like I know that you had a rough day, but just remember that like we believe in you. And I was just like, that was such a big motivation for me. Like I was so like relieved and happy to hear that. Like even though like I made a couple mistakes and didn't play my best, but he knew what I could do. And I remember going to the next game, and the next game after that, after the road trip in Texas, I was the starting second baseman. So um, that phone call was just uplifter for me, man. It was unbelievable, the faith that you showed in me. So that really helped rejuvenate my Rock Valley career. And then obviously not too long after, I started taking over the shortstop role, and then consistently kept on getting moved up in the lineup. And then towards the end of the season, finally, I was kind of like a focal point in that Rock Valley, the first time Rock Valley ever won 30 games, or the highest winning Rock Valley team. So that was a great accomplishment for us.
No doubt, no doubt. I think it's another true testament to how hard you worked, right? And once again, another reason, your mom passes, you're not a starter, you're going through the stuff at Menards. Like there was everything, donating plasma. You had every reason just to, like Luke said, you had every reason to give it up. And you just kept going through this. And then you look around and you go from a guy that was the sixth best shortstop in I shouldn't say terrible, but a tough pocket at Illinois. Like it's a tough pocket to get recruited out of, to being a Division I player. You end up going to Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and you go play Division I baseball. Tell our audience about that and how great of an accomplishment that was for you.
Oh man, I still got a lot for my story. I know that we're running a little bit low on time, but I'll try to shorten it up. Because I know at the end of my freshman year at Rock Valley, I tore my PCL. So that was a major setback in my baseball career. I didn't take rehab as I should have. But I sat out pretty much all of fall my sophomore year, and Coach Heron brought me into his office, and he's just like, we know that we want you to be starting shortstop and kind of mentor these guys. And O'Malley, I'm not much of a vocal leader. I'm more of a lead by example kind of guy. And I didn't really get recruited that much my sophomore year. I had one offer, and that was pretty much it. And it was a pretty good offer. And I'm just like, I went there, took the visit with my brother. And I'm just like, this is just not it. It's not it for me. And, I came back home, and I was talking to you. I'm pretty sure I called you, talked to Heron, talked to Bounds, and they were just like, I don't think that you'll get a better offer than this. Like, this is probably the best you're going to get. And I'm just like, I'm not going to go NAIA. Like, that's not my goal. That's not what I want to do. And, I was like, I'm going to bet on myself. That's what I said. I'm going to bet on myself. And
Yeah.
because I knew how much work I would put into it, just try to be better. And obviously I was coming off my PCL injury. So I knew that I had strides to make. And that's when I really got into the weight room and started working on my craft. And that the fall of 2019, going in 2020, man, I put on 25 pounds. Speed, my powers was there. And that fall, man, it was an unbelievable fall for me. And we went down to Indiana somewhere. I forget where, for a showcase, and there's 150 scouts. And, I'm like, I'm so nervous and my legs are shaking. You got all these scouts looking at you, and I'm just like, holy smokes, like this is it. Like you got to show them like what you got. Cause you pretty much only got one opportunity, you know? So I played really, really well there that day. And, I remember Coach Heron talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, like the schools, like 4 or 5 Division I schools, are interested, and they want to talk to you, this and that." And I'm like, "All right, cool, cool. I know that my stock is kind of rising." And then we played a game at the Rivet Stadium here in Rockford, and Purdue Fort Wayne came and saw me. And after the game, Coach Heron's like, "IPFW wants to reach out to you and talk to you," and I'm just like, what the heck's IPFW? Like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's like, and then I talked to O'Malley, and I was like, what's IPFW? He's like, dude, that's Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne. I was like, what's that? And he goes, oh, that's Division I. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. So then I'm not kidding you. I went home, hopped on Fortnite with a couple of my buddies, and I'm getting a call from Fort Wayne. I'm just like, why the heck am I getting a phone call? I'm like, all right, guys, one second. And I can answer. He's like, hey, this is Brett McNeil from Purdue Fort Wayne. I'm just like, oh, hi. You know, I
What's
turn off
going
my
on?
game.
Yeah.
Turn off my game.
Here's the dream right in front of you.
Yeah, I turn off my game, and I'm just like, how's it going? He's like, I couldn't wait to talk to you. Like, I'm stuck in traffic in Chicago, like, and I need to talk to you. Like, we want you down for a visit, this and that. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm down. Like, when are you guys ready? So probably that week or that weekend, me and Austin went down there again, and met Coach Schreiber, Doug Schreiber, unbelievable coach. And I mean, I just fell in love with the campus. I fell in love. I met a couple of guys there. And the campus was unbelievable. A little small campus, 5 to 10,000 people, I think, which I love. I mean, I don't want to go to a 40,000 people campus. Everything was in walking distance of like 8 minutes, 10 minutes. And obviously the schooling wasn't too bad either. So yeah, so that's pretty much how I got recruited to Purdue Fort Wayne, and it was an awesome experience. I love calling Coach McNeil and told him that I would accept his offer, and then texting everybody, hey, like, I'm going here, and just unbelievable support that I had, just congratulating me for my accomplishment. It was really unbelievable.
Yeah,
Well,
we
hey, man,
talked about it.
I'm proud of you, dude, because I've been on the ends of that. Hey, how'd the game go? Hey, how'd you do? And having to say that you weren't the guy that
Yeah.
day, and not everybody makes it to the other side of that. So the fact that you made it all the way from those kind of texts to being able to be the guy at Purdue Fort Wayne for a little bit, I mean, that's just, that's an unreal climbing of the ladder. And I'm super proud of you and the accomplishment
Appreciate
that you
it.
put in.
It's got a lot of Kurt Warner to it. Is what I usually compare his story to. Like, it's the grocery store, it's the setbacks, it's the adversity, it's I'm not even going to ask you what your keep going moment was, because we just literally went through it, because it was one after the next after the next. And for you to get to the top of the mountain, I have to ask, would you change anything about this?
No, I wouldn't. I think my story, I think it's a good one to share with everyone. I don't think I would change anything. I mean, maybe retiring too soon. Maybe that's it. But
shutting my arm down too quick.
That's pretty much it, man. I love what I did. I wouldn't take anything back. And just like I said, the sporting staff that I had, like, unbelievable. Every moment that everyone was with me. I just can't thank them enough, and I wouldn't change anything for the world.
I love it, man. Not only do I love that, but I love you, brother, as you know.
I love you too.
And I know you do. I appreciate it. I feel that love all the time from you, brother. And here's what I'll say to wrap us up. I know it's going to be super impactful for our listeners, for everyone involved here today.
100%.
And not only as a player reference, but as a person, as a coach, as a mentor, as a family man, and we didn't even get into the stuff that you're doing now. So for our listeners, where can they find you?
I need to change my Instagram and stuff handle, just because it's kind of like childish, but I'm pretty much, I'm on every social media. It's ZACY Baden, BADN 2. People say Zassy, Zachy, So yeah, I think I need to change my handles, but yeah, that's where you can find me wherever you guys want. If you guys want to follow me, talk to
Awesome.
me, anything, I'm always here for support.
No, man, I love it,
Awesome.
man. Like I said, and Luke, it was awesome getting you connected with Zac. I think your story is very similar in a lot of ways. So this won't be the end of what we do, and we'll probably want to have you back on in the future. But
Yeah.
Zac, anything else that you didn't say that you want to tell our listeners today?
Um, no, I like I said, I just want to thank all you guys. Thanks everyone that helped me get to where I'm at today. I literally can't thank anyone enough for what they did for us and for me. Um, there's really no words I can say to thank everybody enough. That's pretty much it.
Well, you crushed it, brother. Have a great day with your family. Reach out if you need
Appreciate
anything,
it.
and we'll be in touch, brother.
Appreciate
Love
it.
you. I'll talk to you
Nice,
soon.
nice to
Thanks,
meet,
Zac. Great to meet
nice
you,
to meet
buddy.
you, Luke. Nice to meet you,
Yeah.
brother. Much love,
Yeah,
Keep
everyone.
going,
Zac.
brother.
See ya.
Peace. Keep going. Luke, I could spend all day talking about how awesome that was, but I need the ad read. So hit me with it.
Oh my God, I gotta compose myself before I do this thing, man. Guys, shout out community, shout out Matt Roberts down there running that positive aspect for Athens, Tennessee. They just dropped a new merch release. Sorry, I'm kind of just pumping right now from Zac's interview, dude.
I
It's
know. It
insane.
was
What a story.
fantastic.
But I'm gonna drop the link to community companies. New merch drop down below, and guys, make sure to go support an unbelievable company that Matt's running down there for a small community and just making a huge impact.
No, absolutely, man. Well, hey, fantastic stuff. That's the kind of stuff that you want. That's why we do it. The next thing is I want to go into the social media shout out. You want to grab that?
Yeah, man. Shout out Sophia Smith. So everybody knows I'm a soccer guy. Pat's a baseball guy. But if you haven't heard about the U.S. Women's National Team run of success in the past couple years, and almost the past decade, I guess now, because some of those players are on their fourth World Cup, then I don't know where you've been. And Sophia Smith is kind of taking the torch and going to be running with it for the next 4 generations. Shout out to her because she has played 13 games. She scored 10 goals. And she didn't credit it to, her athletic ability. She didn't credit it to herself. She credited it to her family and her support from them to help to help cope with the anxiety that comes with playing at the national team level, right? So she shouted out her family, she shouted out her support group for helping her overcome the anxiety and helping her overcome those tough times. So shout out to Sophia for being a great example for the young people out there.
No, I couldn't agree more. And anytime that we can have a high level athlete open up about it, we've talked about it before. It just makes everybody's lives a lot easier. So
Oh
having
yeah,
a
man,
big
she's
time
setting the
athlete do
example.
it. Right.
Yeah,
Because Luke, as much as I love for our platform to affect the national scene, we can't touch that many lives right now. So when people
yeah,
open up about what's going on, man, is that empowering, and man, does that speak volumes, and it impacts so many. So love that completely, Matt. Thanks for breaking that down today too.
100%, man. I think that's right. Anytime a big name can get it out there in the open, it's gonna help a lot more people feel comfortable about it. Pat, what you got for the charity, babe?
Nothing. If you're watching on the YouTube, I did just get into the car. I am at my facility, so we had some little guys walking in, so had to make sure I switched positions a little bit.
A
But I
lot of
got to
energy
shout
coming.
out. You know it, man. I had to shout out our seasons. We'll throw their tags into the show notes in the bio today, and they do a bunch of awesome merch. They donate proceeds to a lot of mental health organizations. Shout out to our seasons. Grab a shirt, grab a hoodie. They're awesome on social media. Fantastic stuff. So I had to shout them out today.
Awesome.
Awesome. Luke, I do want to get into the question, Luke Wheat mailbag of the
Yeah,
week.
babe.
So let me go ahead and fire away with that. So what do I do if I'm worried about my child's mental health? Luke, go right ahead.
I think there's a couple different ways to look at this, right? I know whenever I was in high school, I didn't really want to talk, and this can be as low as middle school even, and maybe even in the sixth and fifth grade nowadays. But, you know, talk as openly as you can with your child about mental health and about tips that can help them. But you really may need to look into some professional help with a child, because I know sometimes they're not super comfortable talking with their parents if they're not close. So it's kind of dependent on the family situation. But there's also some online resources that are amazing that we're going to link down below. There's a couple websites that give breakdown tips and a different couple levels. Right, you've got a serious concern, you've got a low level concern, or you got somewhere in the middle, and it kind of gives you next step actions to take based on that. And I kind of love that, because the parents are going to have a really good feel for what's happening with the kid, and that gives them a lot of different routes to go. So be looking in the link, be looking for that link in the bio down below.
No, Luke, you couldn't have explained it better, man. Right, like mental health in general. There's no, how do I put it? There's no non-issues, right? Like low,
Yeah.
medium, high issues, but how we go about helping, that's where the professional help comes in. That's where like a
Yeah.
mentor, a teacher, an advisor, a counselor, these are all things. So like, no matter if the issue is super small, if you notice something, or if it's a big time issue, act on it. Because as we let that stuff kind of creep into our daily lives, that's when things happen that we don't want to happen. So I think the message here is, if you notice something, speak up about it, get them connected with someone that knows more than maybe you know as a mom or a dad. Then like me and Luke, we don't know everything. That's not why we're here. Get them in touch with someone that can help. That would be the moral of the story today.
Absolutely, man. I think we made an impact with this one.
No, man, I couldn't agree, man. And I really appreciate you jumping on today. Is there anything else, Luke, you want to jot on before we wrap up?
Dude, I just thank you to the community. That's why we're doing this still. 34 in, and we're going strong. We've got people looking at all the way through next May already, right? So we've got a lot of empowering stories and a lot of inspiring stories to bring y'all, and we just appreciate you all listening every week to make this possible.
No doubt, man. It would not be possible without the listeners. We can really stretch this thing and make as much impact as we can as our community gets stronger and bigger with good people. So, Luke, I appreciate you taking time out of a Sunday. Zac Baden was an electric factory, brother. And above all else, brother, keep going.
Keep going.
Love you, bro. Peace.
Love you.